Here's a question that confuses a lot of car people. Range Rovers are famously unreliable. Everyone knows this. The jokes write themselves. The repair bills are legendary. Consumer Reports ranks them at the bottom consistently, and yet people keep buying them, often the same people who just got rid of one because it broke down. So what's happening here? Are Range Rover owners just bad at making decisions? Do they not read reliability reports? Or is there something else going on that makes the equation more complicated than just reliability ratings? In this video, we're exploring why people choose Range Rovers despite knowing the risks, what these vehicles offer that nothing else does, and why reliability isn't always the deciding factor people think it is. A status symbol. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that a lot of car enthusiasts don't want to acknowledge. For many buyers, Range Rover isn't a car purchase, it's a statement purchase, and the statement lands differently than almost any other vehicle. Pull up to a restaurant in a Mercedes S-Class and you look successful. Pull up in a Bentley and you look wealthy. Pull up in a Range Rover and you look like you belong to a specific tribe, a specific aesthetic, a specific lifestyle that other luxury vehicles don't communicate. This isn't about money. Plenty of Range Rover competitors cost the same or more. It's about image, and Range Rover has cultivated an image that sits at the intersection of luxury, capability, and British elegance that nothing else occupies. The Range Rover says, you have money, but you're not flashy about it. You appreciate quality, but you're not precious. You could take this vehicle off-road if you wanted to, even though you absolutely won't, and that theoretical capability matters for reasons that don't need to be logical. And here's the key part. That image has been carefully built over 5 decades. It's not manufactured hype or marketing invention. Range Rover actually did establish itself as the luxury SUV, the original, the one that created the entire segment that every other brand is now chasing. When you buy a Range Rover, you're buying into that heritage, that lineage, that cultural position. And for the people who value that, reliability becomes a secondary concern. Not irrelevant, but secondary. They know what they're getting into, they've done the research, they've read the reports, they're choosing the image and the experience despite the risk, not because they're unaware of it. Here's where Range Rover actually delivers something tangible that justifies the choice for a lot of people. The interior experience is genuinely different from competitors and not in subtle ways. Sit in a Range Rover and the materials are exceptional. The leather is soft and smells right, the wood is real and finished properly. The metals are actual aluminum and not plastic pretending. Everything you touch feels expensive, in a way that even other luxury SUVs don't quite match. But it's not just materials, it's design. Range Rover interiors have a specific aesthetic, minimalist without being cold, luxurious without being ostentatious, modern without chasing trends. They've maintained a design language that feels timeless while updating technology, which is harder than it sounds. The seating position is perfect. You sit high enough to see everything, but not so high it feels like a truck. The visibility is excellent. The greenhouse is airy. The cabin feels spacious without being cavernous. These details add up to an environment that's genuinely pleasant to spend time in. And then there's the ride quality. Range Rovers ride like nothing else in the segment. The air suspension soaks up imperfections, the cabin stays quiet at highway speeds, the whole experience feels serene in a way that German SUVs don't quite achieve. BMWs and Porsches are sportier, Mercedes are more tech-forward, but Range Rovers are more comfortable in daily driving. For people who spend significant time in their vehicles, who do long commutes or frequent road trips or just value comfort, this matters enormously. They're willing to accept reliability risk for an interior experience they prefer over alternatives. It's a trade-off, and for them, it's a trade-off worth making. Never used off-road, but everyone still wants it. Here's something interesting about Range Rover buyers. Almost none of them take their vehicles off-road. Maybe 1% actually use the terrain response system or engage low-range or ford water crossings. And yet the off-road capability is one of the main reasons they bought the vehicle. This sounds contradictory, but it makes psychological sense. The capability provides permission. Permission to think of yourself as adventurous, even if you're not. Permission to imagine weekend trips you'll never take. Permission to feel like you're driving something substantial and capable rather than just another luxury crossover. Range Rovers are genuinely exceptional off-road. They have better approach and departure angles than most competitors. The terrain response system actually works. The air suspension can raise the vehicle for ground clearance. The traction control is sophisticated enough to handle serious obstacles. These are legitimate capabilities that cost real money to engineer. And buyers know this even if they never use it. They know their vehicle could handle a mountain trail or a beach approach or a snowy driveway that would stop a sedan. That knowledge changes how they feel about the vehicle, even if the capability remains theoretical. Compare this to a Cayenne or an X5, which are also capable but don't communicate that capability the same way. Range Rover's entire brand identity is built on terrain conquering, on expedition heritage, on vehicles that supported adventures across continents. That history is present in every model, even if it's just driving to the grocery store. So buyers aren't paying for capability they'll use, they're paying for capability that makes them feel different about their choice. And feelings matter more than most people want to admit when spending $70 or $80 or $100,000. The ownership experience beyond reliability. Here's what gets missed in reliability discussions. Reliability is one factor in ownership experience, but it's not the only factor. And depending on your situation, it might not even be the most important factor. Range Rover dealers offer loaner vehicles when your car is in service. For many owners, this means the reliability issues are an inconvenience rather than a crisis. The vehicle breaks, you get a loaner, they fix it under warranty, you get your car back. Annoying, but manageable. And if you're leasing, which many Range Rover buyers do, the reliability risk is even less relevant. You're not keeping the vehicle past warranty, you're not paying for major repairs. You're essentially renting the Range Rover experience for 3 years and then moving on before the expensive problems start. This is different from someone buying a 10-year-old Range Rover and discovering what happens when air suspension fails or electrical gremlins appear. That's a nightmare scenario. But for the person leasing new or buying certified pre-owned with extended warranty, the reliability issues are mostly theoretical, or at least financially contained. The ownership experience also includes how the brand treats you. Range Rover dealers tend to be nice places with good coffee and comfortable waiting areas. Service advisors are polite. The whole experience feels premium in ways that matter when you're spending luxury money. Compare this to some other brands where reliability is better but the dealer experience is worse. You might have fewer problems, but when you do need service, you're sitting in a depressing waiting room with bad coffee being talked down to by someone who doesn't care. For buyers who value experience over metrics, this calculation makes sense even if it looks irrational from the outside. A design that stands out. Range Rover design is polarizing, but it's never boring, and in a segment where most luxury SUVs are starting to look similar, that distinctiveness matters. The proportions are different from competitors. The roofline is flatter and more upright. The greenhouse is taller. The stance is more commanding. A Range Rover doesn't look like it's trying to be a sports car the way some luxury SUVs do. It looks like it's confident being exactly what it is. The design details are subtle but distinctive. The floating roofline, the continuous beltline, the clamshell hood, the split tailgate that's functionally useful and visually distinctive. These elements add up to a vehicle that's immediately recognizable from any angle. And Range Rover has maintained design consistency across their lineup in ways that reinforce brand identity. An Evoque doesn't look like a Sport, which doesn't look like a full-size Range Rover, but they all clearly belong to the same family. The design language is coherent. This matters because a lot of people buying luxury vehicles care about how it looks in their driveway, how it looks pulling up to places, how it photographs, how it presents. Range Rover design delivers on those priorities in ways that feel worth the reliability trade-off. You're not buying anonymous competence. You're buying a specific aesthetic that communicates specific things. And for people who care about that, reliability problems become the price of entry rather than a deal breaker. Why it keeps happening. So if Range Rovers are so unreliable, why do people keep buying them? And why do the same people often buy another one even after experiencing the problems firsthand? Because reliability is one variable in a complex equation, and depending on what you value, it's not necessarily the most important variable. If you prioritize never breaking down, never visiting the dealer, never dealing with unexpected problems, then Range Rover makes no sense. Buy a Lexus, buy a Toyota, you'll be happier. But if you value the specific combination of image, interior quality, ride comfort, design aesthetic, and capability that Range Rover offers, and that combination doesn't exist anywhere else, then reliability becomes a known cost rather than a deal breaker. It's the same reason people buy Italian sports cars that need constant maintenance, or German sedans with expensive repair bills, or American muscle cars with terrible fuel economy. They're accepting trade-offs for something they value more than the alternative. Range Rover buyers aren't ignorant of reliability issues. They're prioritizing differently. They're saying the experience of owning and driving this specific vehicle is worth the hassle of occasional problems. And if they're leasing or buying with warranty coverage, the financial risk is limited enough that the calculation makes sense. The people who get frustrated are the ones expecting Toyota reliability from a British luxury SUV, or buying used without understanding what they're getting into, or prioritizing reliability but buying Range Rover anyway because of image pressure. But the people who go in with eyes open, who understand the trade-offs, who value what Range Rover offers enough to accept the downsides, they're making a rational choice based on their priorities. It's not the choice everyone would make, but it's not an irrational choice either. Range Rovers keep selling because they offer something specific that nothing else provides, and for the people who want that specific thing, reliability problems are annoying but acceptable. The question isn't whether Range Rovers are unreliable. They clearly are. The question is whether what they offer is worth it despite that, and for a lot of people, the answer is yes. That's not ignorance, that's a different set of priorities, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know what you're signing up for. Which brings up an interesting question. If people are willing to accept unreliability for the right vehicle, what other bad car decisions are actually perfectly rational when you understand the buyer's priorities? Leave your feedback in the comments. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.